The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised. Caution. You are now entering the all-consuming realm of Shea's Paranormal Chat, where the things that are better left unsaid are actually said.
Shut up and sit down.
You're listening to Shea's Paranormal Chat. Paranormal podcasting done Shea's way. Tons of fun.
Dude, seriously?
A bit sarcastic.
Hashtag investigator, not hunter.
But always real.
Hashtag data, not evidence.
Don't get your panties in a twist.
Oh my god, really?
This is real, raw conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, TGIF, and happy Good Friday to everybody. Tonight we're very lucky. We have James and Nita with us. Mm-hmm. And of course, Miss Kelly.
Hello.
So, how you guys doing?
Hello.
Doing good, you?
Good. Getting excited. So, I was already getting messages up the yin yang about you. About, like, questions. And I'm like, why don't you ask in chat? But then some of the questions, I'm like, I'm glad you didn't ask them in chat.
Oh, saucy ones, huh?
Just odd questions. Well, if he's a priest, how come he has a son? Because he's not a priest? Oh, right. But he's a demonologist. Doesn't mean he's a priest. So I think we should...
Yeah.
I think maybe we should address that first on what a demonologist is and go from there.
All right, that's that right into the fire.
Right. I have so many questions. We're just gonna go for it.
I love it. So a demonologist is basically somebody that studies demons, folklores, anything that surrounds the stratosphere of demons, anything that has to involve with it, the occult. That's what demonology is. It's the study of that through literature, through a mentorship, whatever. But that's what a demonologist is. There is fieldwork capabilities of a demonologist, and that would be more so like being the mediator. Unfortunately, we lost Lorraine Warren today, but her husband Ed Warren was a demonologist and was that mediator between the investigation group and the church. So that's what a demonologist is. So basically, I come in, a group gets me involved, or maybe somebody reaches out to me, and I scope it out. And if they believe it's a demon, they call me in. If they believe it's negative, they call me in. And, I assess it, and I do what I have to do. I do all my qualifications. I do. Oh, I dropped myself. But I do a lot of preliminary things, and I check, and I get primary care physicians involved. I get psychologists involved if there's talks of possession, stuff like that. So that's what a demonologist is in a field capacity. You don't always have to do the field work aspect of it. There's many people that just study it and are really very, very knowledgeable within the literature aspect of it, but have never actually been a mediator for a case. So that's basically what I do. And as far as being a deacon with the Catholic Church, I still get the Catholic Church involved because guess what? I'm only a deacon. I can't do exorcisms. I can do a house cleansing. So if that is what the client wants that I'm dealing with, either a homeowner, a business owner, or somebody, I can do a cleansing for them, and of course, bless any items for them, and bless holy water as well. So, I can do those things and keep them at ease, and maybe even the cleansing will work for them. But if not, of course, if there's oppression and possession, then I definitely get the church involved.
So you can do all the cleansing, and I know you and I've asked you this before, but so everybody in chat knows, demonologists do not do exorcisms.
No, if you hear a demonologist claiming they are an exorcist, first and foremost, the problem is everybody wants to be an exorcist. Everybody talks about exorcisms. A demonologist is not an exorcist. Exorcists are very well versed in demonology, and that's the difference. Plus a priest that is an exorcist will not call themselves an exorcist before they call themselves a priest. People think that becoming clergy, especially in the paranormal world or in the exorcism world, everybody thinks that's the goal of being a priest. If that is your goal as a priest to be an exorcist, then you have the wrong goals. You shouldn't be a priest. There's so many other things that are incorporated with me in clergy. So I am going to be an exorcist one day. My mentor is an exorcist. I am a deacon that will one day, join priesthood, and enter and study exorcisms and go that route. But that's not why I did. Why I did what I did? Why I became clergy? There's so many other reasons. So no demonologist is an exorcist. An exorcist can be a demonologist,
right?
And
that's it. Isn't that because is it last rites or just the human blessing? What is it at the end of the exorcism?
Well, so there's the sacraments within the Catholic Church. There's sacraments. So I can only perform matrimony and baptism. I received holy orders, which is also a sacrament, which is can only be done by bishops of laying hands. Receive holy orders. So I received a sacrament, but I can only do two. So after I enter exorcism, sometimes even before, most of the time at the end, you will enact in communion. You will take the Eucharist, and a priest is the only one that is able to do that sacrament of communion. So they're the only people that are able to allow that transubstantiation. That blessing that they do works for God through them. Because they receive those abilities and they understand what's the process. It's not because everybody wants to say, "Oh, anybody can do it." No, there's a process to do it and doing it. They're very well versed in those processes. So, but that's why an exorcism would be done by a priest, especially if it's the solemn rite. The minor rite of exorcism still should be done by a priest, but that is basically a very strong house blessing. It's usually done on infestations, demonic infestations. That's when a rite of exorcism would be done. But yeah, the solemn rite, communion is done afterwards. So that's only, like I said, left up to a priest because they are able to do that sacrament.
Okay. I'm going to give a couple shout outs here to those who have already joined us in chat. And we already have a question in the chat. So. And if you're not listening, if you're listening but not in chat, you guys should come in and say hi. Of course, we have Mama Pat, we have Wolf Adam, we have Eye of the Beholder, we have Matt, we have Kim Purvis, and a few other people, but unless they say hello, I've learned not to say their names. So Mama Pat Mama Pat is Kelly's mother, and everybody calls her Mama Pat. So
Mama Pat.
Mama Pat, yeah, awesome woman. awesome woman. She would like you to explain. I was going to ask this. I think it's a very important question too. So I'm glad she brought it up. Can you explain the difference between an exorcism and a cleansing? Because it seems like some think it's the same thing.
Well, in many ways, the process of a cleansing and exorcism is very similar. If we're talking about a minor rite of exorcism, like I said, it's just basically different prayers said, but almost kind of the same ritual done. You know, the salts, the holy water, the anointing oil, that same kind of process, but there's different prayers said. Different intentions with involved of the minor rite of exorcism. You know, cleansing would be done on something like an earthbound spirit that is very negative. You know, maybe to help them cross over if they need help. You know, cleanse a space of any negative energy. Now, a demonic infestation, you're dealing with pure evil. That's what a demon is pure evil. So now minor rite of exorcism is just, like I said, more stronger prayers, different things said, but in the same concept, almost the same thing. Now, a solemn rite, which is done over possessed people or oppressed, obsessed people.
Which there's a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference, but a solemn rite of exorcism is it's a long process. You know, sometimes it could be done in one shot. Sometimes it could be done multiple times, and that can also be done for a cleansing as well. But the solemn rite of exorcism is done over a person. A cleansing can technically be done over a person, but I call cleansings. I say cleansings over houses. You know, in my sense, and as a Catholic or a Christian. I'm saying prayers over somebody, and that's not an exorcism. That would be a deliverance. It would be delivering something from that person that is either attached to them or has some influence within them that maybe is demonic or maybe even negative. But a prayer over somebody would be a deliverance in that capacity.
So the difference between oppression and possession. Possession is when it is either already has or working on fully taking you over, and an oppression is more of attached and can influence you, but it hasn't taken over. Is that simply put? Like,
well, the best way to say it is infestation, because there's 3 stages, but these 3 stages, a lot of people don't talk about the sub stages. Like in the oppression stage, there could also be the obsession stage. You know, some people aren't oppressed, but they're obsessed. They want it. Oppressed, they're more scared. They don't know what's going on. Things are changing. Obsessed, a lot of people don't talk about it. But in possession, there's, you know, perfect possession or transient possession. The entity comes and go. The perfect possession, the entity stays dormant there. Like, doesn't stay dormant, but it stays active. The person doesn't gain control of themselves. They are in a perfect state of possession. Now, oppression and possession, what's different with them is basically the easiest way to say it is infestation. Basically, the demonic infest tries to find their target. Once they find their target, either the weakest or strongest person, there's so many different things that you could acquaint to why a demonic entity chooses somebody. There's not one specific thing, but sometimes the strongest connection to God is also the biggest target. You know, the closer you get to God, the tougher life gets. You know, it's a true saying, and I believe in that. So, but oppression basically is at the point where that person is targeted is basically the deconstruction of their free will, them trying to break them down and trying to make them a shell of themselves. And when there is enough of that within that stature of oppression, that person is going to, at one point in their time, hopefully it doesn't happen, of course, but in speculation and, of course, talking about the differences and how it leads to it, basically that person would eventually give up and say, I can't do this anymore. And that is invocation for the demonic to possess the individual, because their free will has been shattered to the extent where that demonic entity is now able to control them.
Okay.
And where you would have the transient possession once that stage happens, that possessed individual hasn't fully lost themselves. So in that transient stage, or in most cases when it's transient possession, and that's most possessions that occur, is that the person is fighting back, so the entity keeps coming and going because that person regains their free will and fights and pushes it away and strengthens their connection to God. And then when the entity comes in, it's that entity overpowering the human. Now, perfect possession, which is a hell of a lot rare. There's a lot less cases of it known out there. But in perfect possession, and is basically that person never gains the ability. Their free will is fully destroyed, disassembled, and that entity has full control of that person. And if somehow the entity ever left that person, then most likely would die. They would be in a vegetable state in technicality.
Wow. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's all about free will. A lot,
Yeah. Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. Kelly, you have any questions yet?
So, how often do you get called into cases because someone says, "I have a demon," that you have to go in and explain to them, "That's not a demon; it's just an asshole"?
All the time. It's even more difficult when and I don't want to throw anybody on the bus. I'm very easygoing person. It took a long time for that, but a lot of the times actually it's a team that brings me in, and they're the ones that were claiming it's demonic, and they told the client it's demonic, and it's really not at the end of the day, and it really does make a mess. I try never to use that word. I think I've ever used that word a handful, even less than a handful of times in direction towards a client. But it's not a word that you ever really want to tell somebody, because you really, if you are there to help somebody, it is your job to empower them, not kind of
empower them with the truth, not coddle them.
Right.
Yeah. Well, not empower them with. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't ever say to the client that they were dealing with a demon. So technically, I would be lying.
If they weren't dealing with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But even if they were, I want it. Because truth is good, but in that aspect, if you tell, oh yeah, you're dealing with a demon, a lot of people's minds start racing. Why am I dealing with this? Did I sin? What did I do wrong? And then they start kind of breaking themselves down, and that's the worst place they can be in that kind of stuff.
That a demon or even a negative entity can feed off of that, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. So even if there's something there, you don't want that mentality. So, but yeah, all the time, I go by a statistic that I can only go by, because this is my firsthand experiences. I've done this for 15 years, involved in the paranormal, and 400 something ridiculous, right? Like that. I've done a lot of cases. I was busy for a long time, and I would say anywhere from 5 to 7 cases. 5 definitely. 2 other cases that I still question to this day. 5 cases of demonic activity in 15 years.
See, and I think that's so important to stress that to people, because in today's world and today's TV, everybody's being made to believe that it's all demons, and so it's tough when we do what we do, because everybody's like, oh, I've got a demon. It's like, no, you just have icky energy in your house.
Well, sometimes they don't even have that. Sometimes it's nothing and they're claiming it's demon.
Or they're just scared. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not always faked on purpose, but it's faked on accident, as I say.
You have nothing in your house. You have expanding ductwork.
Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
We have a couple more questions, and I'm trying to keep up on them, too. Let me find...
I'm slacking on my job. Do you want to go to Darren's?
Yep, and yes, Darren came in, Cynthia came in, and I'm forgetting somebody else, but let's go to Darren. First, Darren asked a question, but I'm going to ask this one first. Have you ever witnessed an
precursor.
exorcism?
Yeah.
No, I
Okay.
have not.
All right. His question was, have you ever witnessed a death due to an exorcism? But I didn't think you had ever even witnessed a exorcism.
A real exorcism, yeah.
No, I have not. I've witnessed. I've performed and I've been involved in deliverances, but usually most of the time, because at that point I was in clergy. A lot of times that I work with the church instead of being a part of the church. Usually, family and a fellow minister that exorcist trust or their team are involved with that exorcism. Being an outsider, even though they respect me and they understand my experiences, most of the times I have had to bring somebody in. I just let them take over. I think sometimes that's the best thing, you
do your part and then
do my part, pull back, and let them do their part.
Yep.
If I was meant to witness it, I would witness it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've been involved with possessed people. I've handled them. Like I've done prayer over them just to help them kind of like come back. But no, I've never. But even possessed individuals, dealing with them, it's very shocking and very scary.
Oh, I'm sure. I've never. There goes the door. Sorry. Caught me off
It's
guard.
the wind, Shea. It's the wind.
I know. It's a demon. God darn it. I'm trying not to take the Lord's name in vain, but I'm going to screw up, James. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's Holy Week too. You totally mess it up.
I know it's Good Friday. I do swear, but I've been doing really good about it. It's usually the F-bomb.
I swear like a sailor.
I know.
Swear,
yeah.
It's all right.
I broke the one first, so sorry about that.
No, of all guests, I wasn't worried about that with you, but I've been trying to do better on the show.
She's getting more and more boring as she goes. Oh, I mean,
all right, one more question so far from Mama Pat again, and
do you want me to do it?
Yeah, if you can find it.
I got it.
All right.
So, Mama Pat was raised Catholic, and she says, my understanding of a demon is an entity that never was human, whose purpose is to cause a person to renounce goodness, grace, God, and instead embrace evil, the devil, etc. Is that even close to what a demon is? It's not just a negative spirit, right?
Well, yeah. So the one thing I try to tell people and try to instill in people, yes, I'm Catholic, and I believe in God, and I believe what is interpreted into some aspect. Of course, there's interpretations out there that are meant for you to take. If you are Catholic, and especially if you've gone through seminary, you've heard of the Summa, which is by Saint Thomas Aquinas, which is pretty much like a question answering to everything within God and involving that, including angels and demons. So a lot of questioning yourself to understanding yourself, kind of thing. Nobody knows really what a demon is. We're human. There's been literature passed upon it. I've experienced it. But the one thing I can say that I 100% believe in is, demons. You could say they were the fallen angels and they fell with Satan or Lucifer when they fell from heaven and betrayed God. And that's what a demon is. But the one thing I can say, what I know what a demon is that I think that has been passed down in literature, is in the Bible, is that they are bodiless creatures. They are pure energy forms, pure energy spirits.
Non-human.
They're non-human.
For
non-human.
us little people, non-human.
Yeah, they're non-human. They were never created with a body. And so that's why if you look at a lot of demonic hauntings, why they are able to appear as so many different things and trick people and are very theatrical when it comes to their haunting sometimes. And why there's, they have that interpretation of the, horns and the wings, but I like to say the best interpretation of what for people in modern day understand pop culture is the movie It. The clown is technically it's an interdimensional being. And it plays on all your fears. That's basically what a demon does. There, it is pure evil. It plays on your fears. It'll work you and manipulate you. So that's the closest thing I can say what it is. As far as anything else, I really can't. That to me it is pure evil. I've never experienced anything similar like that in life, and it's mind blowing. But yeah, I definitely do believe they are in non-human entities, pure spirit forms. Yeah, I think they can appear whatever they want as. So
that's a good question. How do you have to? I'm trying to word this nicely because of who you are. Are you often called in to clean up other people's messes of stuff that they've maybe not even intentionally, but investigators do. Some investigators do stupid things and create more problems. And do you ever have to go in and clean up those messes, like when it gets out of control? Because I see a lot of people out there online doing stupid stuff, and I always wonder who's going to fix this when they leave.
Sometimes, I've been called in a lot of times after people have handled cases, but I've also had a lot of cases of mine get handled after me as well, and that really depends on the client. It really depends on who you're dealing with. Yeah. But I've definitely had to get involved in some situations that were handled roughly and inappropriately, but. The biggest thing is, I try to say to people out there is, paranormal. I work construction for a living. I'm a licensed sheet metal mechanic. I install ductwork. I'm licensed. I can do it. If you wanted to hire me and you wanted to pull a permit, or I could pull a permit, we could do so. I'm not a doctor, but I'm licensed in something, or I have a license in something. And I can drive. I have a license to drive. There's no licenses to be a paranormal investigator. I think the only thing that's very close to that has some respect to the demonology thing is that I'm a deacon with the Catholic Church. But at the end of the day, if you're a demonologist who calls himself a demonologist or a paranormal investigator, that is a paranormal, call yourself a paranormal investigator, it's a self-titled thing. And there's no licensing. There's nothing like that within that. When I get involved, it's as a religious counselor. I can counsel people on a religious aspect because of me being clergy, and me before being Catholic, I was an ordained minister with the Church of Christ. So I've been able to do that in that kind of stanza. So, but there's a lot of people that think going into people's houses is radical and cool, and they're going to catch cool stuff. But then also understands once you walk into somebody's house, there's so many different things that could occur. Liability issues, you saying something to the family, you doing something stupid, and the activity spike because you're either provoking or you're not giving any respect. So there's so many different things. So when you have random people that that have devices that go in people's houses, it's always scary. There's always going to be a chance of you having to go fix people's mistakes. But I made many mistakes as well, so I can't really yell at them. But yeah, I've had to go into a lot of locations.
I think making mistakes on accident is different than some of what I was probably thinking. And I probably didn't.
Well, a lot of it is by accident. A lot of it is by accident. Yeah. A lot of those people that go into people's houses and make things worse, they think they're doing the right thing, and that's because a lack of understanding of what we're doing. But there are some total idiots out there, and mind you, for the people that are idiots, I'm sorry. But
the thing about being an idiot is they usually don't know they're an idiot, so you're probably not insulting them any because they don't think you're talking about them.
Amen to that one.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is that there's people out there that just like that just make things worse, or leech off people. Like throughout time of me being involved in this, and I'm sitting down with John, down with other fellow demonologists who are well respected, and we talk about the people that have milked people. Like back in the day, there was the demon doctors. They used to perform phone exorcisms, and they charge you thousands of dollars.
I've never heard that.
And people used to pay thousands of dollars. I dealt with a client who still, doesn't listen, but is still dealing with people that I know and well respect. But somebody charged. She paid up to $30,000 for help because she was dealing with something. $30,000, and I don't charge a dime. I don't charge a dime. But those are the things that you have to come up and clean sometimes. And sometimes you can't clean them up because they're so messed up that you can't do anything about it,
That is horrible. Somebody to prey upon somebody at their weakest like that is horrible.
It's terrible.
It pisses me off. It really does. We're taking turns coughing.
I just don't understand.
I got a gnarly cough.
Yeah. And I get where somebody could get suckered into paying like $100 or a couple $100 even, but $30,000? How do you get suckered into that? And how do you have that much spare money if you're no smarter than to give it away? Yeah. Sorry, that was mean.
Well, yeah. When you're sometimes in your darkest, deepest moments, and you have somebody that can, be very charming and charismatic, and say they can help you. And I think there's people that at their weakest point are willing to shell out what they want.
Anything.
Phone exorcisms. Who the hell thinks that's gonna work? But there's people that do, and there's people that still do it. The demon doctors are no longer around because they were chased out and dodged, but people still willing to pay for stupid crap like that. It's mind-boggling. But I think there's also less of a voice. There's people that talk about how it's nonsense and stuff like that, but there's not enough people talking about it where there's enough change to it. You can talk about it, but for there to be change, it's tough, especially in this kind of field. I wish the people that charge for that stuff would go to jail. I wish that there would be more court cases of these people either getting a felony or a misdemeanor because of this stupid crap, But unfortunately, there's not many cases out there that have occurred. So
most states they would have to promise or guarantee something for it to be considered fraud.
Yep.
Hi, Luna. Somebody just asked a question, but it disappeared, so they must have deleted it.
I saw that. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I think it was Cynthia. She might be retyping. How do you feel? I know the answer to this already. I heard your little spiel in Manchester there, and I've heard you say it before. But how do you feel about provoking, and what would you suggest paranormal investigators do when they find themselves out in group situations where provoking is happening to the point where, well, actually, I don't believe in provoking at all. But how do you handle? I hear it a lot. You don't believe in provoking, right?
Religious provocation is in this more extreme circumstances, and you're using the power of God, the name of God, name of Jesus, and using it forcefully for that evil presence to suppress itself, or show itself, or be suppressed. But no, I don't provocate. Back when I was younger, I did provocate, and I learned. And this is, of course, growing up and making mistakes. But at one point in my life, I did provocate and try to get things to talk to me. But not anymore. No, I don't like it. I think it's I think growing up and getting older, I really understand and respect. And I respect anything. Even if you disrespect me, I still respect you because I don't care. I don't need no bad blood. So it's the same concept. If these things are intelligent, we deal with these things that are intelligent. I'm going to give them the same respect. And if they disrespect me, then I'll leave. I'll leave for of course, say I'll stand my ground and say you can't do this kind of stuff, and I'll be very respectful in my standing on my ground. But no, I don't believe it. If I've led events in public investigations where somebody was trying to provocate, and they were automatically thrown off the the place location because it's something that's said. I feel like provocating not can only lead harm to yourself, but could lead harm to many other people involved in the situation. And when there's that possibility, there should be no possibilities of it. It's dangerous. Why
disrespectful.
Why talk smack? Well, I don't get it. Why talk? And I learned this because of my firsthand. But why disrespect something that you can't see? That's the stupidest thing you could ever do. Like, if you go up to somebody and you provocate somebody, you say something in somebody's face, you might get punched. Yeah. There's that definitely that you might get punched. But when there's something unseen and you're provocating, you don't know what's going to happen. So, be very cautious of that. Like, I can't tell people not to do it because anytime you say not to do something, people are going to do it. It's that, that drive. But, I don't do it, and I think other people shouldn't do it. But I guess it's, as long, if you do it and if you're by yourself, you do it, you by yourself. But definitely.
What about if they do it when they're by themselves and they leave and somebody else comes along?
But what can you do? Like, you could speak out about it, but you can't, you can't,
can't tell anybody not to. I just
you can apologize for them. I mean,
yeah.
If someone's being nasty to a spirit, speak up and say, I apologize for their behavior, just like you would if somebody was mouthing off to another human being. Well,
in a group situation, yeah, definitely. I think once that person's removed, I definitely think you try to simmer the situation. I think you try to, definitely ease it. You try to talk to them respectably, or you might even all just clear out and let it kind of simmer itself, and then go back and with, more of a positive attitude after getting rid of that negative person. There's many different ways to diffuse the situation, but no, I definitely don't believe in it, especially in a public situation.
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia retyped her question, and you touched base on it a little bit, but I think before she came in. How can you make sure to find a true demonologist, not someone who may have just read a book or two and now say they're a demonologist?
Well, I still get that all the time. Everybody's still, whatever. But, some people still doubt me or whatever they want to do about me. But I think the best way to find a true demonologist is find very well respected paranormal people. There are people out there that are very well respected, and there's very well respected people in the demonology field as well. Ask them, if you're not into the field, the same thing that you can do in some ways. When finding a doctor, an electrician, or something like that, check them out, background check them. It surprises me on how many people let just random strangers into their house and don't do any research on them. But definitely do research on the person, look who they're acquainted to. Reach out to some of the people they're acquainted to, and see if that person that you're going to bring in or claiming themselves to be a demonologist is what they are, or has some sort of knowledge of that, and maybe they can find somebody that can help you. So there's different ways. Sometimes you just have to research. And I know when people are involved in this situation and are just and this is where the money thing happens, where people, get charged. But, people are in a rush to find help. But sometimes
or desperate to. After
Desperate,
reaching out
yeah.
so many times, they're just like, I'll take whatever I can get.
But yeah, definitely do your research. I think that's how you find somebody that is legitimate. But really, the best way to do it, and I tell people to do this all the time, and sometimes they won't help me. You got to keep trying. Is contact the church. If you're not Christian, then contact somebody that is like-minded like you and your belief. But if you're Christian, just call the Catholic Church, and they might one diocese might not help you, but another one you have to call around sometimes. But you also have to go through their process. They have a process for a reason, and if you're not willing to go through their process, they're not willing to help you. You can't. There's a process. I'm sorry, and sometimes we can't overstep that.
Yeah.
Well, the Catholic Church. Well, and I'm trying to ask a question, and I'm trying not to ask questions that are like offensive. I guess I
go ahead. It's I think there's a lot of misconceptions. Even though I'm Catholic, I believe everybody should believe in what they want. So go ahead.
So like, if a Lutheran thinks that they have a demon in their house and they call the Catholic Church for help, is the church still going to help?
Depends on what Catholic Church you're calling. You got to remember, everybody wants to think the Roman Catholic Church is the only Catholic Church. Catholic means universal. So you have the Greek Orthodox, the Russian Orthodox. You have the traditional Catholics, the Old Catholics, which I'm an Old Catholic. You have the Roman Catholics. So yeah, you can. The exorcists don't just pertain to the Roman Catholic Church. That is that is the predominant way to go. But there are
also
other,
the hardest.
They're the hardest as well. But there are other aspects and branches of Catholicism that people don't understand. So the Roman Catholic Church might not help you. You should reach out to them, and there are going to be dioceses that might turn you away, because you got to remember, not all priests believe in demons. Yeah, it's crazy to sound like, but a lot of the way that exorcists come across, and I've seen it. Some priests don't believe that can occur, so that's why you get turned away sometimes. So there's ways to reach out. You just have, like I said, you have to do your research. You can't, when someone turns you away, just keep trying. So, but the Roman Catholic Church are very hard. An old Catholic like myself probably will take a fellow Christian and help them. Roman Catholics might not, but I really think that's also dependent on the clergy you're dealing with too. The depending on the priest you're dealing with, the deacon, or whoever is working with you. They all have their own free will and their own interpretation. So it really depends on who you go to. So.
I hear a motorcycle.
Yeah, that would be me. I mean, not like me, but I wish it was me, but it was outside.
Luna says persistence is the key.
You got to, yeah.
I still see Kelly's persistent mind turning.
It is.
Go ask away.
Well, so take that a step further. So what if I come up to you and I say, James, I don't believe in God, but I believe in demons, and I think there's one in my house?
That is the most stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. Because how can you believe in demons? If you believe in what a demon is, then you realize God created a demon. So if you don't believe in God, how can you believe in a demon? It's like the same thing I always hear. I believe in angels, but I don't believe in God. What? How can you believe in spirits if you don't believe in something of a higher power? What comes after death if there's no higher power? God's just a word. So
God is just a word.
If you take God in the theologian aspect, which is the study of God, which is the study of religion, God is life. Every religion, 4,200 religions that exist out there, I believe, or something like that, crazy. Most of them have a very similar concept of God, even pagans. Even pagans, even though they believe in many gods and goddesses, there's one center being that created all those gods and goddesses. Most Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, who created Zeus and all them. Somebody created Zeus and all them, right? So a lot of religions have that concept of a god or that higher power that created it all. So it's very hard. I was being mean when I say stupid, but it's really hard. It's really hard for me to understand if you really take what a demon is and you look at all the lore and all the literature of a demon, and then you don't say you believe in God. Then I think there's something wrong. But you can't believe in a demon and an angel and not believe in the concept of God. It's hard. They go in hand. That's why theology carries angelology and demonology.
That wasn't. I'm listening. I'm also reading the chat.
Right.
So yeah. So, what if somebody doesn't see? Yeah, I'm stuck on that too because
it's hard. You can't believe in an energetic spiritual force and not believe in a higher power.
But that's a difference than saying that you believe in God. I guess that was what my point was. So,
it's not. God's higher power. Regardless.
God is a higher power. But what if? Okay, so for example, what if a Buddhist comes to you?
They want to say they're dealing with the demon, though. They may have
a different name for it, right?
There's interpretations. Every religion has a different interpretation of what a demon is. Like
everybody calls that overarching power something different.
They're all demon in a character. All right, so every religion has their evil, but every religion has a different characteristic to what their evil interpretation is. But Islam has the jinn. Jinn are elemental forces.
Right.
They are non-human, but they are elemental. They're not pure. They're pure. Okay, they're pure energy technically, but they are represented as an elemental force. Judaistic belief has the Divics. Hinduism has the Zoras.
Right.
So on and so on. Buddhists don't technically believe in the spirit like that in a way. So, but they do believe in the negative mindset. Very close to Hinduism with karma. I think any religion has their evil, and so a Buddhist might not necessarily tell me they're dealing with a demon. They might, but I think they're going to come to me and say, this is what this is. But they all do have their own characteristical forms. Like I've dealt with the jinn case. I wouldn't call it a demon case.
But you still will help them.
Well, the people that are dealing with the jinn case weren't Islamic. It was a Christian individual.
I think she's asking if you'll help somebody even if they don't believe in God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You should have just said that. But
is that what you were asking overall?
Not just him particularly, but I mean, he was saying if you think you have a problem, the first person you should contact is the Catholic Church. And I guess that started my brain thinking. Yeah.
I would help. I help anybody. I help agnostic people, atheist people, omnist. I help whatever you want, whatever you are. If you are Jewish, if you are Hindu, if you are Islamic, I'll come in as a mediator. I cannot do a cleansing over you. I cannot get the church and do exorcisms over you because guess what? People don't understand. For a cleansing and exorcism and all this stuff to work, you have to believe in what is being said. So you could say, well, they don't believe in God, but they believe in but God's the same thing. It's the interpretation. You got to believe in what is being said. If you don't understand what is being said, it's like reading a book and you don't understand what you're reading. Are you going to enjoy that book? So it's the same thing. You have to understand what is being invoked in that situation. If you don't believe what's being invoked, it's not going to work. Right. Your connection to that higher power is not going to happen.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. That's when I go into a house to help them do a cleansing, I'll have them do it. I'll walk them through it, but I'll have them do it and have them use their words, because it's more powerful for them to say the words themselves, that this is my house and you can stay if you mean us no harm, but if you mean us harm, you have to leave. It's so much stronger of a message coming from them.
I will, in a sense. I agree to disagree on that. I agree that they should keep that focused mind, that positive mind. They should do daily cleansings for the rest of their life, especially if you're dealing with demonic possession. You have to if once you break that possession, you have to live a different life for the rest of your life. If you don't, it's going to come back. It's happened to people, but if I deal with somebody with a different belief, I'll actually get somebody of a different belief involved to take over the case for me. I will enable the client to do certain things, but I will never enable the client to do a cleansing in their house, because they're very well. I've been trained 8 years, and trained every day on how to do cleansings. I can't show somebody in one day how to do a proper cleansing on their house. There's thought processes. There's things that have to go through your mind. There's certain things you have to do for a certain reason. People don't go in a room counterclockwise during a cleansing. People don't understand why you do that. You go counterclockwise to reverse everything. So there's certain things that you do within a cleansing that's done for a reason, and there's a method to it. So I can't teach a client to do my method in a day. So I would never have a client do their own cleansing, because most of the times they'll sage their house, and that's the worst thing they can do.
Why is it? I've never saged anything, but why is it the worst thing they can do?
Okay. So I interpret sage because sage comes more of from a pagan, Native American background, and incense like frankincense, myrrh come from more of a Christian aspect. Every religion technically, in some stanza, uses kind of like an incense form. So basically, what I would tell people, and this is the easiest way of saying it, sage is like an incense, or sage is like Glade. So you spray Glade when there's a smell, right? And that smell is only going to be neutralized by that Glade. It's not going to clean the room. It's just going to deneutralize that smell. You still got to clean, but if you don't clean, that smell is going to eventually come back. So sage is like that neutralizer. So when you sage, you're neutralizing that environment. If you're not putting any positivity on top of that, and most times everybody just sages, that's all they do. So you're not doing anything on top of that neutralization. You're only spraying that Glade, and that smell is going to go away for a few hours, and then it's eventually going to come back because you never cleansed. You never did positive thoughts on it. So that's why sage is bad, because people improperly don't know how to do it. Why? Okay, so if you look at a Christian cleansing or very similar cleansings, especially with paganism or other religion. Oh boy,
that was loud.
That wasn't me.
Very other ritual things. Sea salt is used as a barrier. Incense or sage is used as a neutralizer. Holy water and anointing oil are positive reinforcements, and the prayer are the positive words said within that. So each of those things have their own what they do. So if you just sage, you're not doing any of those other things. It might work for a few hours, might work for a few days, might work for a few months. But that could also happen with the cleansing. But I've seen a lot worse repercussions happen from saging because of them not understanding what sage does in process.
When
and I think just like...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and just kind of like you had said earlier, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one, because respectfully, sage helps. It does. So I know we've got a lot of listeners with a bunch of different beliefs, so I don't want people who
does the Glade.
Have seen
Glade
the
helps.
benefits of it. So
Glade. Glade helps, gets rid of the smell. But
are you guys both talking about all energy, or are you guys? Are you?
Oh, no.
No, I'm asking. Like, James, are you talking about just?
Well, Well, no, sage. If you look at it's not an opinion. If you look at what sage is by pagans or what sage is by anybody, by its format, why sage is used in a cleansing, that is why it is used. It is that neutralizer. It is that glade. There's no other reason for it. People, it could have had positive reinforcement for somebody, but there's been so many more stories that I've dealt with in my situation that it's done more harm than good because them not understanding why the sage is in the process. I know pagans. I work with pagans. They'll use sage, but guess what? They'll add other kinds of woods, other kinds of incense to their bowl, and they'll go around fumigating the house with that smell. They're not just saging. So it could do good for people, and I hope it does. But if it doesn't help people, there's the reasons why it's not helping people. Sage has a specific reason what it's meant to do. There's no opinion on that. It is
sage
meant to
without
do
intentions, absolutely. Then I would agree that sage without intentions could be somewhat ineffectual.
And
you have to have your intentions with it
the whole time.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah. You have to have your intentions, and you have to have your faith with it. Just like anything, you have to have what you're doing backed by faith.
Yeah.
And Cynthia was asking the same thing in here, and I think she said, but doesn't it depend on how and who is using it? And I think that kind of got lost in translation. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you're pretty much just saying you can't use it on its own. That it's multi.
It's a multifaceted thing. Oh, definitely, yeah. It's like I said, if you can't get the glade analogy, then I guess then I lost you. But just look at what glade is. Look at what a candle does. Look at what incense does. It gets rid of smells. It's not meant to cleanse things, and that is exactly what it's meant.
You're saying you hit a couple nerves, so I just want to clear this up. You're saying
that's fine. I can hit nerves. It's the truth.
Hey, I didn't mean it in a bad way. I just want to. I think it just got lost in there somewhere.
Well, yeah,
you're saying sage, like.
I'm not saying sage doesn't work. I'm just saying there's processes with this. Yeah, there's multi steps with the sage.
So it neutralizes it, but then you have to do something to get rid of it for good.
Yeah.
And Pat's analogy that she just put in there is absolutely perfect. It's the same with Catholic incense and holy water. Intention and faith is necessary for anything to work.
I said that.
I said that that's what we're all. I think that's what we're all saying.
You guys are just saying it in different ways.
Yeah, it's the same thing I said. Yeah, that's why I said there's a process. That's why I said this holy water, sea salt, anointing oil. Okay. Oh, jeez. See, people want to hear between the lines and not hear the whole thing. You know, that's the problem that we have in this field. We always got to remember to listen to the whole thing. You know, because you just lose things in translation. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we've talked about that quite a bit on.
Yeah.
A lot of times, this is exactly, and I'm not going to name names, but it's exactly what happens. What we hear something, but we don't. So somehow our brain stops listening to the rest of it, and it happens. It happens to me a lot too. You think you know one thing, but we're listening to defend instead of listening to understand.
Yeah,
I don't have to agree with you to like you. I don't have to agree with you to respect you.
We're listening for our particular words, though, too, and that's part of the problem. Is we're listening for certain words to be used, and if different words are being used, then people get all, we can't possibly agree and get along because you didn't use the right words. Where we're all saying the same thing, we're just saying different words. So. If this is your belief system and this is what works for you and this is this person's belief system and what works for them, it's all the same thing. Yeah, it's just the different words of how it's delivered.
Yeah. It's not, at the end of the day, for people listening, it's not you doing the work when you go into somebody's house. It's a higher power working through you. At the end of the day, if you think you're the person that's doing the cleansing and doing all that work, then you shouldn't be doing it. Higher power works through you. That's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. It's like you said, laws of attraction, intention, all those other things. You do what you want to do. There's a process for certain reasons, but as long as the day, if you're doing good, if you're doing it for the right reasons, it's the first right step.
It's the intent behind it.
How often do we say that?
I'm trying to listen to what, Kelly?
How often do we say that? It's the intent behind it. There's so much truth.
Yeah.
So much truth to that.
I got lost in the chat a little bit. There's a couple questions I don't really understand. So, here's Mama Pat has one. You said earlier that a demon is tricky and manipulative towards people. Can you tell us from your personal experience some demonic behaviors you have seen yourself?
So, sorry. Oh, man. Sorry, I hate being sick. I get moody too. So, but so in many cases that I've read, I've only, like I said, dealt with 5 cases. The 5 cases that I dealt with, very similar to what you hear, very theatrical. When you don't. So, all right, this is hard. Most of the time, you won't know it's a demon, and even when I'm involved, most of the times, there's talks about it, or there's something negative here, or we don't understand what's going on here. First time I ever dealt with it, I instantly was very sick. Second time I dealt with it, I was instantly sick. But there's also times within that you go to that location with this entity, and you won't feel anything. If you have no ability to not, you won't feel anything. When the people that are living there, when they first started dealing with it, they felt a loving experience. The spirit trying to play with them, trying to communicate with them. So they're very manipulative in that stance. They'll play to your weaknesses. They'll give you nightmares of what you're scared of. So the best way I could say that a demonic entity was manipulative in my life was before I even got on this case, and I talked about this one a little bit. I was working on this case and never met this family, never seen their house, was talking to them in questionnaires, through email, and which is how I get a lot of my cases. And, I sent them a questionnaire, so, I knew they had a family, I knew the ages, I knew, I didn't know the address technically, but I never, Google mapped it or whatever. You can zoom in like a creeper or something like that, but never did any of that. So I just had basic information. This is what they were dealing with. We're experiencing this, blah, blah, blah. And so within that same week of going to that location, I had a very, very, very bad nightmare. And the nightmare was me going into this house. I seen the house, seen the family, and I walked in and I killed every single one of them. Every single one of them. I killed every single one of them.
You just got my attention.
So, of course, I woke up in shock and sweats. I went to that freaking house. That house was the same house as my nightmare. And every single family member looked spitting image to what my nightmare. And the only reason I could say I could remember that house and I remember those faces because it was such a I'm killing these people. It was that bad of a nightmare. And I got to this location, I seen this house, and I was like, am I gonna kill these people? And self-doubt for a second, and then I walked in and I seen all their faces. I was like, you turn pale white, and you're like, oh man, and but you have to recover because if this is really what you're dealing with, you have to be on your A game. But that's a little story I can give you with how demonic entities can be in a manipulative state. I don't know if that nightmare was to keep me away or scare me. I think it was a scare tactic. Keep away. We know you're involved. They're all knowing entities. They're way older than we are. But yeah, it was definitely frightening and eye opening.
I can only imagine. It's like an evil version of deja vu that you need to stop before.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Precognition.
Oh yeah.
Precognition. Yeah. That'd be scary though.
Oh, it was pretty frightful.
Does that happen? Is that the only time that's happened? Luna wants to know, has it happened a lot, or is that the only time?
It's only happened that time that happened to me, but it has happened to in nightmare format. It has happened to other fellow demonologists that I've worked with, or fellow other paranormal investigators that do this kind of line of work. Yeah.
Can nasty human spirits do that stuff too?
Can they manipulate? I think an attachment, when they are kind of influencing or infused with your energy a little bit, like latched onto you, I think there can be certain things kind of brought into like either a dream or a nightmare. So I think it's possible. You think about if you really want to talk about that, and you look at people that like get a liver or a heart or a transplant, and they start picking up traits of that person or start having dreams of somebody else's life. And there's been very big research on this and a lot of stories on this. So if there's a spirit that is infused in your energy, attached to you, why can't you have dreams and nightmares very similar to what maybe they experienced or what they want to influence onto you, kind of.
Like projecting?
Yeah, project to you. So I think it's possible. I've never experienced it, so it's a possibility. There's stories about it. There's theories, ideas. I know fellow people that feel like they've been have had things projected to them during their attachments. So,
Luna has another question. Can an attachment possess a person?
No, that in that same format as like demonic possession. Attachment can control for a certain. The word possess ain't technically wrong. I don't like using the word possession when it comes to attachments. I've dealt with attachments where the spirit was able to communicate through the person. Usually, the best way to make people kind of understand it is when a trance medium goes in a trance and spirit talks to that medium.
How do you feel about mediums and psychics?
I work with them. I think there's some baloney ones out there, but I work with very gifted people that I bring on cases with me. I like to check all the boxes off. So if I worked with this person and they've had some tremendous results and things that were mind blowing, why not attempt to use their abilities and see what they get from a situation? So I'm all right for it. I think that it is dangerous. I'm glad, I tried never to develop anything or don't associate myself. I think it's very dangerous because, sometimes, you hear the argument, oh, we know who we're talking to. My guides tell me. But, do you really? So, but that, I guess that's the debate that people always want to have. But I stay neutral to it. I'm not a psychic or medium or clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient. I'm not an empath or anything like that. I don't title myself any of that stuff. But,
I don't know. That was pretty precognitive of you to have seen people's faces ahead of time.
Or it could have been influenced. But the thing is, though, is I'm not against it. I just I think it's dangerous. I think people should, definitely be cautious of who they go to. Make sure, it's the same thing. going right to the right demonologist, going to the right psychic medium. You can get
do
charged.
Your research.
Do your research.
Same paranormal investigators, psychics, mediums, demonologists, people in general.
Priests.
People
priests.
In general. It's all
do your
the same
research.
thing. Yeah.
Definitely priests nowadays, especially with what's going on in the church. Definitely.
Because I've met some really nice ones, and I've met some doozies.
Oh yeah, everybody thinks a priest is nice people. I've met some mean ones.
I've known some. I grew up Roman Catholic. I know some very nice priests. I've known some nasty priests. But I've known some nasty women. I've known some nice women.
Yeah,
I've known some good cops. I've known some bad cops.
Yeah, do your research.
Do your research. Yeah, just I say that about everything. I
Why
am
you
missing
biting?
so many questions, man.
I think I'm kind of keeping up. So I think the next one is Roland. Roland had asked, "Is there a way to tell the difference between a demon versus psychosis?"
Sorry.
For a demonologist or for a normal person?
Can you please reiterate that question? Sorry.
Is there a way to tell the difference between a demon and what's just psychosis? Basically, what are they making up?
Yeah, definitely. It's called get a psychologist involved. And I'm just sorry. I'm gonna blow my nose quickly.
Go ahead. We've done worse on the show. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
So that's actually a really good question. I'm not a psychologist. I don't have a PhD or master's degree in psychology. But one of the things that, of course, the church, and we were talking about primary care physicians and psychologists earlier, very shortly. One of the things the Catholic Church requests, especially if somebody's possessed or claiming to be possessed, is to cost data, but they require a primary care physician visit just to make sure everything physically is right with them. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not, they don't have a fungus thing going on or anything like that, and go see it. Get an evaluation done by a psychologist. And usually, when you get evaluation, at most places, you'll be seen by 3 different psychologists, and those 3 psychologists will talk and just to see if they determine if they have any disorders within the DSM-5. So I know the DSM-5 a little bit. I've worked with quite a few psychologists. My girlfriend's a psychologist, so I'm around it. I kind of know some red flags, but that is the biggest challenge on understanding if they truly are possessed or if they are dealing with a psychosis issue. But anytime somebody claims they're possessed, you should always have them go seek a doctor, because it's something just to make sure. And on top of it too, they could have psychosis issues and still be possessed.
It could be because of those issues that they could be influenced by a spirit.
Yeah. So there's so many different factors, because you're dealing with a crazy person doesn't mean they're truly not dealing with something paranormal either, But it's a lot harder to unravel. It's a lot more dangerous if you're a paranormal investigator, like with me. I'm clergy. I've worked around it. I'm not better than anybody, but if you're a regular investigator, Joe Schmo, and you get somebody else involved, or don't deal with that at all. Because if you say go to a psychologist and they really do have psychological issues, but you really do believe they're dealing with something, and you have that data, definitely, like I said, reach out to or get more people in your boat, because you cross that road if that evaluation does say something that they have a disorder. You can also be in dangerous hands, because you say something wrong and they commit suicide or something like that. It's on you now. That blood is on your hands. So you always got to be careful.
So the next question we had was, do they, and I'm assuming by they mean demons, really cause swarms of flies to appear? Can they make people have wounds, vomit, talk in other languages, etc.? So in other words, does it ever really happen that the things that happened in The Exorcist actually happen to people who are possessed by a demon?
quick and simple answer. I think this would be the most simple answer I've ever said. All yes, it can happen. I don't know the head spinning. No, I've never seen that, and there's been no aspect of that. But
you think it's common?
The flies are a little bit more common than the puking. Usually, the puking is like usually when the expulsion of the entity, the puking happens more so, or if like a successful deliverance or exorcism. But the flies, yes, and some of the things, the speaking in tongues, of course that's misinterpreted. Speaking tongues speaking tongues always meant basically speaking the language you don't understand. It doesn't mean like you're speaking like this, like blah 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 blah. Like,
that's not speaking in tongues.
No, so everybody thinks that like that speaking tongues is that, but speaking tongues is speaking in a language that you've never understood before. So, but yeah, so there's some languages that are common, and there's some languages that aren't. A lot of people want to say Latin, but it's easy to pick up Rosetta Stone and learn Latin. So you always got to be wary about that. So there's certain things that you got to look out for. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of those movies that you see, The Exorcist, The Rite, Emily Rose. All those were based on true stories. So there are some truths to what happened in those cases and some of the things they experienced that were within the movie. But of course, a lot of it is also entertainment too.
Latin and easy should not be in the same sentence. It shouldn't.
It's not.
I get what you're saying.
It's not easy, but within this day and age, it's easy. It's easy for people to
knowledge is out there to learn.
To learn it, back in the day, you'd have to go to the library and stuff like that, or and stuff like that. Now it's so accessible. But there are other languages. Like there was one time I had to get a professor involved, and it was a professor on Sumerian. That language, and that's you can't. It's not something you can go find on Google on how to learn the Sumerian language. So and speak it. So we had to get a professor involved to help us decipher it. Because there's languages out there I don't understand, and the best thing that you can do when you don't understand something is reach out to people that might understand it.
I don't understand English half the time, so
I don't either. I don't understand
slang. I should say I don't understand.
I say car and ballparks. I don't know English at all.
Yeah.
What was the second word?
Ballpark.
I don't know what. Okay.
Ballpark.
Oh, I'm like I don't even know what you're saying.
It's kind of like the Boston and New York accent.
Really, Shea? I got told I had an accent yesterday on the phone because they said I said house funny. Anyways, we'll keep going. Totally side squirrel.
That's okay. Hey, we got an hour and 18 minutes in before we got distracted.
Totally squirreled off.
Yeah.
That's
pretty good.
All right. So the next question. Are there levels of demons? For example, succubus, incubus, major, minor demons, legions, etc. And is there a difference between a demon and the devil?
Only Roland could ask a question like
I love Roland.
Is there a difference between a demon and a devil? I love Roland. That's why I can make fun of him.
That is a very in-depth question.
Yeah.
Technically, there's different levels, but technically, everybody wants to say a succubi and incubi are like a female, male demons. Remember, we talked about the demons don't have any physical characteristics; they're pure spirit. So if you take that means there's no female, male, pure spirit. They could be anything they want to be. They do have intelligence, though. So, an incubi, of course, is a male, and a succubi is a female. A target of a male. Incubi targets females, and a succubi targets males. But they're still the same. Still a demonic entity. There are stronger. They are said to be stronger demonic entities and lesser demonic entities. Usually, in most demonic hauntings, there are multiple entities and not just one. There are like lessers with the higher or stronger entity. Most times, they're called minions. But how strong they are and severity, I don't really know. They're much older. The difference between a demon and a devil. That's a good one, but everybody wants to say there's a difference technically, but in reality there isn't. You could say Satan is the devil or Lucifer is the devil, but I would say that I would say that there's a lot of debate on it. There's a lot of discussion about it. Like, okay, you could maybe say a fallen angel is a devil, or they are a fallen angel. Because a lot of people want to say a fallen angel. Demons aren't just fallen angels; they are pure evil spirits. So it's really up to interpretation on how you interpret it. There's so many different literature formats of demonology, so it's a very interesting question. You got to remember, if you really want to acquaint and go back to the one thing that we can talk to that is based upon Christianity is the Bible, and in reality, they don't really talk about demons and devil in as much until the New Testament. They talk about the serpent in the Old Testament, which is, of course, we all know who the serpent is. So it's really hard to say if there's any big difference between the devil and a demon. I feel like I've dealt with demonic entities, and I guess you could call them devils. So it's a really hard question to answer in 5 minutes or something like that. So. But it was definitely a good question.
He always has questions that I get confused reading sometimes. They're good, but I'm like, my head starts spinning when I'm on the second sentence. Okay, guys, any last questions? Get them in here. We got about 10 minutes left. So any last minute questions, start typing now. Go on, sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, I'm saying everybody, like I said, everybody has a different opinion. Some people say devil's different.
You doing okay?
I'm all right.
I feel ya.
I got I should have got a bottle of water, but I'm all right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. When I get sick, I get the man flu, so it's all right.
I understand that one.
I'll probably start crying after this and tuck myself into sleep.
Curl up into a little fetal ball. And
Can an angel... Roland has another question. Can an angel possess a person and could they be banished?
Who can be banished? Can an angel be banished?
Can an angel possess a person and could they be banished?
Well, yeah, an angel can technically possess somebody. I've seen it. Actually, once. It was very crazy. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. Just kidding. All I can say about that story. But no, I believe angels. If you really wanted to roll back the other question, if demons are fallen angels, and if demons can possess people, then yes, an angel definitely can possess somebody. But it ain't going to be in a negative circumstance. It's going to be in a positive manner. Can angels be banished? It probably. You got to remember, when you banish a demonic force from a location, it's the invocation, it's the power of God working through you. So I don't think God is going to work through you to banish an angel. Now, if you banished an angel in negative means and through the power of evil or something like that, maybe that's possible. But I want to know. I don't play around with that shit.
But if it's an angel and you ask nicely for it to leave, it ought to leave because they're angels and they're good.
Well, yeah, but that's not banishing an angel, though. Banishing's like get the hell out of my house,
there is not enough room in here for both of us. Leave.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely, if you, in most cases, I think in stories of people that have been visited by angels, I think if they told the angel, please leave, the angel has been very sincere and has followed their request. So, but yeah, that's actually a really good question. An angel's possessed, huh?
He always has. He has great questions. So,
Cynthia's comment cracked me up. Sorry. So in other words, you're stuck with it.
Did I sleep with the angel? Is that what she said?
No, she said. So in other words, you're stuck. If you can't banish it, then you're stuck with it.
Sleep. Oh yeah, you're stuck with it.
Oh no, not sleep with. Yeah, stuck with.
Ah.
Oh, okay. Jeez. All right, Roland has another question. Can an angel do harm by accident?
I don't think an angel would. So I think they're too intelligent to cause harm mistakenly. I think we try to interpret these beings too much in a human standpoint. So I think they're a hell of a lot more intelligent than we tend to believe, and I don't think they make mistakes.
Nicely said. Okay, so before James starts curling up in a ball and crying, thank you for putting up with us.
It was a fantastic time.
You want to? I can't even talk. Would you like to throw out where people can find you and where you're going to be coming up soon?
As far as the places I'm going to be, I have no idea. I went fully crazy this year on locations. Well, I didn't go fully crazy, I should say. I guess it was a mutual interest, but I'll be in Michigan in August, Illinois in September, quite a few other places.
You'll be at the Maine Paracon, the Portland Paracon, June 1st.
Yes, that's true. June 1st. Yeah, Maine. I can't wait.
That's the only one I'm going to be there. That's the only reason why I know you're going to be there.
But you
stalker.
Anybody can reach me on Facebook. I have a lot of open friend slots, so send them James Nitto, ANNITTO. You can also go to jamesnitto.com. I haven't updated in a long time, but there's a means of contacting me, or sometimes I post like books that I like, and you can go check them out and go read some of the books that have been influential in my life. So, yeah, those are the two biggest places, and it's crazy. Everybody, as long as you don't do it in a negative standpoint, but my phone's always out there, 401-808-7416. Give me a call if you ever need to talk.
You are a brave soul.
Well, it's called block for a reason, but no, yeah, I think so those are the ways to contact me. So if anybody, please don't call me at ridiculous amounts of time at night, because I will not answer. But yeah, definitely. That's the ways to get in contact with me, and I have plenty of events coming up, so they're posting on my Facebook post on my Facebook wall.
Wolf says to drink some green tea with a Hall's menthol cough drop in it.
It would be. I wish I had that. Does Grubhub deliver pharmaceutical needs?
If not, you might have just came up with the next $1 million idea.
Right.
Yeah. CVS Go.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Okay, you guys hold on a second. Oh, wait. Before, I'm telling you, I'm tired. There is no show this week. Sunday, what is today? Oh my God, today's Friday. There's no show Saturday, Sunday, or Monday this week due to the holiday. The next show is Tuesday. Into the Pit. There will be a panel of mediums and paranormal investigators. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. And I think that's it. Kelly, is that my job? Did I finish everything? So. I am so tired. My daughter she got to Germany at midnight and got to France at 5, so I had to be up both times to talk to her to make sure she landed. But then I couldn't go back to sleep right away each time. So, and now she's 6 hours ahead, so she's going to be, when I'm going to bed, she's going to be getting up and messaging me. So it's a good thing there's no shows this weekend. going to be crazy.
Rest weekend.
Yes.
Yes.
So our show next Friday. Do we have a show next Friday? Oh,
yes.
No. Yes. Yeah.
You're not going to be here, but yes. Raven Rose, Roland and Cynthia will be here from location. They won't be here. They'll be on air with me from their location, so that should be fun. And I have no idea what's happening in May because I don't even know what's happening tomorrow. So
yeah, who knows?
Yes.
All right. One day at a time. One day at a time.
One day at a time. I do know I will be on Girls vs. Ghost Media with my favorite host ever, Miss Kelly McCarville, May 1st. That's coming up.
Woo.
Yes. So
that's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to schedule this like 4 hours because God knows how long we'll talk.
Right? Okay, James, again, thank you. Hold on one second. Everybody,
Definitely.
We will see you next Friday.
Did you want
Have a happy Easter.
I guess we didn't do shout-outs. Did you want shout-outs?
Oh, shit.
I know. I just was totally spacing on that. I failed on my job, Shea.
Yes, I'll do them real quick. Sorry, James. I am actually lucky to be awake. We have Wolf, Adam, Mama Pat, Miss Luna, Roland, Cynthia,
Kim, Matt,
Jen B. I think I saw her in there. Actually, I saw somebody say hi to her. Darren, A's in there. Aya Beholder, Muna, Darren. I'm going to miss some because I can't scroll all the way back.
I scrolled down to the bottom. I started at the bottom.
Anybody else we might have got in the beginning, and if you're...
Did you say Wolf? We'll say Wolf again because he deserves a double shout-out.
Yes, Wolf, of course. So, thank you, everybody, and thank you for tolerating my sleepy ass tonight. Good night. Happy Easter.
Thanks for listening,
Easter,
everybody.
Guys.
Thank you for listening, and for all things Paranormal Buzz Radio related, check out our website at paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.